Hi there, it's David Young, the resourceful coach, and I've had a lot of interest in my 12 shots of golf, especially my how to break 80, 90. So what we're going to look at today is that a few people say, well, how do we break 100? Never done it before, need to break it. And what we're going to do is going to split it into a little bit two parts. Okay, so when I do my data lessons with my golfers on the golf course, what I set up is a system where I'll monitor every shot you play. And from that position, I have created data that will tell me on average how many shots it will take you to get into the hole. And then I split it into four parts. We have putting, we have shots inside 100 yards, shots outside 100, and our tee shots on par fours and par fives. And what we're going to look at in this particular video, we're going to look at your putting and we're going to look at shots inside 100 yards, give you an idea what you need to do and what you can work on and some drills that will help you to break that 100. Okay. So it's really important to sort of make sure it's clear in your mind what you need to achieve, and we'll cover that as we go along, but also some exercises where you can go to the putting green or the chipping green or the range, work on your swing to get those shots that you need to do to break that 100 for the first time. So we're going to start with putting. And I think when you get into putting, there are three key things that we're looking for. Number one, which we'll come to another time, is can you read a green? That's really important. Understand how the green is being read, so that may determine where you aim and how much power you're going to put into the putt. Then there is, can I start the ball on the right line once I've read that putt? And then the third thing is, can I get the speed? Now, amazingly, we're going to start with the last one. We're going to start more with speed, and we're just going to create a very simple drill when you first start. And you can do this for all lengths of putt, but what I would encourage you to do to start with is start initially at about a 10-foot putt, so about 4 paces from the hole. And what I brought out here, I'm bringing out a club where I'm just going to place this behind the hole, the distance that you think I'm never going to miss that putt. Now that could be any distance. If you look at it and say, well, I'm never going to miss a foot putt, place this club a foot behind the hole. If you think, well, I could still miss a foot putt, I'm never going to miss a 6-inch putt, place it that far past. And the idea is what we're looking to do is to get the ball up to the hole and end up that distance past the hole. And the reason for why we want to go past the hole is because if the hole gets in the way, it could go in. Now, I'd probably say to golfers, nobody really want to go more than 2 feet past. We all miss 2-foot putts. So just go with your game. Make sure you're deciding what you can do. If you can roll it up and you know yet 9 inches past is a good distance, place that club. I'm going to put it a foot past for me. A golf hole is approximately 4 inches from front to back. So I'm going to place it about 3 hole widths behind the hole. And we're just starting about 4 paces here, 10-foot putt. And all I'm looking to do, initially I'm just going to aim straight at the hole. My goal is, yeah, I'd love to hole it, but if I don't hole it, can I end up in that area past the flag, which I think, well, I'm never going to miss that putt. I'm pretty confident I won't miss that. And we're just getting used to the speed of the green. We're getting used to the speed of the putt. And just get the feel of what you're doing from there. Get the ball rolling up to the hole. See what we get. Okay, so on that occasion, I've come up a little bit short, but guess what? I'm within my foot. So if you're from 10 feet and you never do worse than a 2 putt, this part of your game already, you're going to break 100. That part of the game is fine. But we need to do a few of them. So that's a foot short. Well, about 6 inches to 9 inches short. So if I can improve that. Yep, good. Got that one, the speed went in the hole. That one, we're up to about where the club is, and that's absolutely fine. And as I said, start around that 4 paces. Then as you get a little bit more comfortable, start to move it back a little bit further. Maybe give yourself 6 paces, so 15 feet, then 20 feet, then 25 feet, and give yourself the sensation that you're starting to get the speed of the putt as you go through it. But as I said, start with the 10-footer. We're now going to do some longer ones and see what we're doing from there. And we'll show you the technique that I work on. But I think the real important thing is what we're going to tell you to do is we're always looking to arrive at the hole to finish that foot past the hole. So your speed when it arrives at the hole isn't changing, and that's going to make it far, far easier when you're reading greens because the ball is always arriving at the same speed. So you're going to find yourself being a lot more consistent and helpful when you're reading those greens. Okay, so we're not going to change the line too much, so we don't have to worry about that. We're just going to increase the putt and take it back a little bit further. So we're keeping the same drill. We've now just moved the ball back to about 15 feet. Going to go through the same routine. We could see the putt when I was putting there, just had a little bit of right to left break. But as I said, we're not really concerning ourselves with the break at the moment. The idea of the exercise is all about controlling speed. So all I'm going to do to hit this ball a little bit further, I've gone from 10 feet now to 15 feet. Just going to make the same rhythm and tempo of swing. Just going to make my putting stroke a little bit longer and let that flow into the back of the ball. Okay, tiny bit short, but probably within that foot. So even though it's short, okay. Now let's see if we can get it rolling to the club behind. Yeah, still a little bit short, but I'm in my area, so I'm keeping a clear thought from there. There we go, that's nice. So that's in my area. And what we'll look at with my 3 balls, we've put them in an area, we think, well, I'm going to get my 2 putts. So I've now been able to 2 putt from 10 feet, 15 feet, just increase the number. Okay, you can go in 20 feet if you want. I'm going to take it to 25 feet now. And all I'm changing is just the length of the stroke to increase the length that I'm hitting the putt. I'm not really changing too much there. But all I'm working on this exercise is all about speed. Okay, not worrying so much about the line. I've got a rough idea of the line. I'm just working on speed. Can I reach the club? Roll it up. So I'm in my area. Lovely. That's about 6 inches from the hole. Start to 2 putt from here. Amazingly, if you watch my 12 shots of golf, we're now going to 2 putt from here. You're as good as a scratch golfer. So we've gone from 10 feet. That's what you need to guarantee you're doing a break 100. Now, if you start doing it consistently from here, you're going to be playing like a scratch golfer. 25 feet. 33 feet is the average 2 putt for a tour player. So I'm working on that speed. That's all I'm interested in. Roll that up to the hole. Yeah, good. Level with the hole. So again, I'm within probably 8 inches of the hole. 2 hole widths away. And see if we can do it again, just focusing solely on pace. Ball rolling up there nicely. And again, I'm just inside the club as we go through. So always for me when you're starting, if you can get the pace right, you'll start to learn the line. If you're learning the line, you'll start to read greens better. So always start with the speed. That's going to make it a lot easier for you to start getting those putts down in 2 putts. And if you're doing that on every green, you're way ahead of the game. I mean, 40% of shots are played with your putter in a round of golf. If we're probably honest, 42, 43% for a guy shooting around 100. Anybody shooting around 100. So if you can guarantee 2 putts on every green, that's 36 putts. Okay, you're going to have some shorter ones, you're going to have some longer ones. If you can get that ball rolling up, go to the putting green, work on that speed drill, put a club foot, 9 inches, your distance that you think, I'm never going to miss that, gives you a pretty good chance. So there's our start for our how we're going to break 100. Get the speed right with your putter. So we've now come to our second shot, which is a sort of a 20-yard shot onto the green. We're coming out of light rough, okay? But I think approach this shot exactly the same off the fairway. What we may do, I think we'll give you a bonus shot in a minute. We'll play a shot from maybe underneath a tree onto the green. Now, what's really important when you get into this position, again, everything about my 12 shots of golf is to get your level in your mind consistent with what you're looking to play to. And I think the biggest problem with golf is that you've all got the ability to play, probably from here, a ball that would end up within 5 feet of the hole. We can all do it. And that's as good as a tour player. But what we've got to look at, people have come to me and they said, look, we get what you're saying on how to break 80, how to break 90, but we duff lots of shots. But mentally, if you can think, what's an okay shot and not get upset, I see more duff shots because of the mentality that we're worrying about the shot, or we've played a poor shot to get here and we're allowing that to affect the next shot. And that's probably the biggest reason that people are shooting over 100. So if we can get to this shot and realize what's an okay shot, well, 20 yards off the green, going onto the green, amazingly, if you want to play to 18, this guy's shooting 90, we need to get this within about 30 feet of the hole. So remember, on the putting, you've just practiced from 25 feet, you're rolling that putt up nicely from 25 feet and you're getting it stone dead and you're getting your 2 putts. If you're getting down in 3 from here, you're doing better than an 18 handicap golfer. So what's important is make sure mentally think on the green is a good result. That's what I'm looking for. Now we're playing out the light rough. And one of the key things I always say to golfers, look, a golf ball doesn't weigh a lot. Okay, weighs 1.68 ounces if you want to be exact. So if a golf ball can sit down in the grass, a solid stainless steel club head is going to find its way down there as well. So the shots people are coming to me and saying, well, I do a lot of them, is they thin and scull them across the green, which basically means when they come into the shot, they're hitting too high on the ball. Okay. The most important thing when you're chipping around the green is we need to get to the bottom of the golf ball. Now, if the ball can sit down there, so can the club head. So that's your first thing you've got to understand. If you look at the ball and think, yeah, my club can get down there, all I do sometimes, I'll come to the side of the golf ball, put my club in the grass, and I can see, I'm nowhere near the ball, so I'm not affecting the shot. I can see that weight of that club is at least as low as the ball, if not lower. So if I don't reach the bottom of the ball, it's not down to the club, it's down to my technique. Now, pick a club that you're happy with. I've got 3 choices of club here. We've got a little bit of trouble to go over, then we've got some fringe, and then we've got some green. And if you're not happy to hit the ball up in the air and land the ball on the green, one of my previous exercises we went through, what I call the 2-step rule, land it on the green. Don't take a lofted club. If you're not confident with it, take a pitching wedge, take an 8-iron, and look to land the ball on this area of grass, which is still good, and it will run through it. So again, we're giving you options. This is the key thing. But let's keep it simple. So for me, I'm just going to take a standard pitching wedge, which will now have around about somewhere, depending on the manufacturer, between 43 and 45 degrees of loft. And the most important thing is we want to make sure that when we're playing the shot, we're hitting down on the ball. We want to make contact down into the grass. All of my chip shots, all of my exercises you've seen before, I go very narrow. I'm not looking for power. Think if you were standing here and you had what have we got? Roughly, probably an 80-foot shot. How hard would you hit that if it was a putt? You probably wouldn't hit it that hard. So since the technique that you're playing here is a similar rhythm and tempo, you've just watched me putting, you can see the tempo that I'm creating isn't changing. But the most important thing, I want to be nice and relaxed, and I want to let the club reach the bottom of the ball. Okay, so setup wise, let's just look at it from this angle. Very narrow stance because I'm not looking for power. I play the ball middle to slightly near on my back foot, and that keeps my hands ahead of the ball. If the handle is slightly favouring the front of the ball, if that stays in that position as I come into the ball, the low point is going to be when the club head catches up to the handle. So that will actually be, the low point will be here. That means I'm going to hit the bottom of the ball, I'm going to go through the grass. It will pop it up into the air. Again, practice the shot like we did with the putting to learn the speed. This is what this shot's all about, learning the speed of what you're doing. It's not like hitting a drive where you think, well, if I hit it 200, 220, 240, as long as it goes down the fairway, we're happy. We're now looking to control the shot. So again, just feel the shot. Again, I create my posture. I just let my arms hang, and that's where the club naturally wants to go. And now I'm thinking simply like the shot that we played on the putting stroke, just an even tempo, back and through to pop the ball up onto the green and see what we get. If I hit the bottom of the ball, I've got control of the ball. Now that ball's rolled probably about 15 feet away. So how good is that shot? Well, I'm going to break 100 if I'm chipping from like that every time. But because I'm hitting the bottom of the ball, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be okay. So that's giving me more of a sensation now. I'm down in 3. That's where I would be probably, as we said, to play to about 18. That's 10 better than what you're asking me to do. So the key thing when you're playing these shots is learn to get the feel of contacting the bottom of the ball. Allow the club to come down. If you reach the bottom of the ball will jump up. Everything about the club, one of my videos that I've just put out, is saying about moving the ball forwards. Get the sensation, pop it forwards, get the ball on the green. Okay, that's around our 10-15 feet, that's okay. Just nice and simple, let the club go up, down, we're striking the bottom of the ball. And what you find, again, I'm just letting my instincts take over. Within a few shots, I've gone from 15 feet to 10 feet to 5 feet. But I've kept the same technique. I don't suddenly look at the first one, it's gone a long way away, and I'm now trying to change things. Find a technique that works. Get down to your chipping green, practice those shots. So now we've done putting, 20 yards. We're going to look at 50 and 100 yards and see if we can help you to get those scores and start breaking that 100 easily. So before we move on to the 50 and 100 yard shot, I mentioned a bonus shot. What would I do in this situation? Tree sort of in my way, another tree here, limbs of the tree. And again, what are we looking for? we're here in this position. What's going to be a good shot? Get it on the green. Shot on the green is going to give you a really good result. So all I look at here really is start to go up and have a little look. I've walked down the fairway from that direction. What I would always say to get some information. We're going to go up and have a look. I've got so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, 10 paces of really rough grass. I've got about 5 or 6 paces of okay grass. And now I've got 40 feet of green. Okay, now, what I see a lot here with the higher handicap golfer, for some reason, they'll either play one of two shots, and they're probably a bit too extreme. You've got the player who wants to get loft. In this situation, look at all the limbs of the tree. We don't really want that. 2, then we've got the guy probably might even pull out something like a putter because he just wants to bump it up there. So what we're looking for, we're going to play the same technique as what we did with the wedge, but just going to do it with an A-time. That will keep me under the limbs of the second tree. But here's really important, just take a little bit of time. If I go direct at that flag, the likelihood is I'm very close to this part of the tree. I can go out there. What would be a good result? Well, from an okay lie in the light rough, we were happy being 25 feet away. So this is okay to be 25 feet away. Just because it's ended up here, don't think you've got to make up. So I'm going to play exactly the same technique. Narrow stance, find that position where I feel comfortable holding the club, and I'm just playing the ball slightly back in my stance with that image. I'm going to hit down. Golfers come to me and say, I want to be more consistent. Look how I'm keeping the shots consistent. I'm not playing a different shot, I'm just choosing a different club. Anything on the green's a good shot from here, but I want to be clever, keep it out there. I don't want to be going at that flag because I could hit the tree, it could come back at me. So I'm aiming between the two trees. Anywhere on that green will be good. Go with your instinct on the power. Yep, we're on the green. It's hard because my brain's saying I'm not aiming at the flag. Where have we ended up? Probably 25, 30 feet away. I can still two-putt that because I've been and practiced my speed control. So if I end up getting down in 3 from here, you're probably doing on par with what we would expect about a 12 handicap golfer to do. So again, we're keeping it simple, we're keeping it consistent. Whether you're playing from a little bit of rough from the fairway or from a little bit of an awkward lie, keep the technique at this distance the same, just change the club to give you the result you want. Let's go and look at the 50-yard pitch. So we're 50 yards from the green, and let's just double check that to make sure, or 50 yards from the flag. Yep, so 52 yards. So that gives us an idea of what we're going to do into the green. And what I want to do, I mean, hopefully when you watch some of my videos, there's not a lot changes, even from driving all the way through to my chipping. I want to keep a consistent tempo and rhythm to what I'm doing. And I think the importance, what you've got to understand is when you're playing this shot, start to learn what your golf clubs do. Everything we're doing is encouraging you to get a consistent strike on the ball. So we're now looking at a 50-yard shot. We've got nothing in the way, although Rob's put this tight on the right side of the green, and there's a bit of a drop area onto the green. And I've got lots of green left of the hole. So remember, from our 20-yard shot, we were quite happy putting it 25 feet away. So if you do that from this position, you're doing great, you're doing brilliantly. You're giving yourself a really good opportunity to be down in 3. And as I said, from 50 yards, if you're down in 3, you're not playing to even 18 handicap. You're now starting to get near a 12, 13 handicap golfer. And that's really important to understand. Keep those level of expectations right. If you keep that in a good place, and now you keep a consistent technique, you're going to find now you can learn what the club's doing. Again, if you're early in your golf and you haven't broken that 100, there's still a massive amount of learning to do. Don't feel there's only one club. Again, I've pulled out the same 3 clubs. I've got my gap wedge, my pitching wedge, and I've got an A-time. For me, I would look at it, if I was playing looking to break 100, I'd just, again, stick with my pitching wedge. I'm quite happy with that. And all I'm going to change a little bit what we did on the putting, okay, and how I'm developing these shots. When we were doing the putting and I was standing about 10 feet away, you saw the length of the stroke. As I went to 15 feet, it got a bit bigger. As it went to 25 feet, it got bigger still. And I'm doing the same here. When you saw me do the 20-yard pitch with my wedge, it's just a little swing there to there. Now all I'm going to do, same setup, technique, I'm just making the swing bigger. So again, all I'm changing is the power going into the ball. So again, key word, consistency. I don't need a big stance. I don't need to try and get this ball up in the air. The club's going to do it. Here's the good news. It's going to go higher than the 20-yard shot. Why? Because it's going to go on that trajectory for longer. So it'll go up into the air. Let it. That's the important thing. Again, we're back to that golfer who thinks he's the one who's got to help it up in the air. If you're that golfer, thinning it, hitting the ground back here, you're trying to scoop the ball up, the golf club will do it for you. Let it. So again, it's quite consistent. You're going to get bored of me saying this. Get that ball middle to back in your stance, feel the handle at the front, and all you've got to decide now is how big a swing. And the only way you can learn that, you've got to hit lots of shots. Okay, so I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to aim, because I know everything's going to kick a little bit to the left. I'm actually going to aim at the flag, and I'll expect it to kick and end up 15, 20, maybe 30 feet left of the hole. But you'll see, all I'm changing from that shorter 20-yard shot, my backswing is bigger, through. Now, what's interesting, okay, this is good. Maybe this is what you want to see. Because I've kept a nice tempo to the swing, I've actually mishit that ball and slightly thinned it. Guess what? My ball still ended up on the green. And that's because I'm not that golfer who gets here and suddenly goes, I'm going to hit it hard. If you connect with that and thin it, I'd have been over the bushes at the back. So, although it wasn't the perfect strike, look what happened to the shot. I've ended up, I reckon I'm 20 feet left of the flag because my aim was good, my theory of power was good. So yeah, I'm going to practice it. I want a better strike. What caused that? Maybe I was gripping a little bit down the club too much. Let's go again. So trust what you feel. Let's see what happens. That's a much nicer strike. I've pushed it slightly, but as we said, everything's going to come down amazingly because the rhythm and tempo is the same. That's ended up slightly further away than the first one. So a much better technical shot, but I didn't get a much better result. So we're going to stick with it, but I'm on the green. I'm 20, 25 feet away. That's good. Same technique. Let the club do the work. That looks the best of the lot, but you can never guarantee what's going to happen. And amazingly, it's ended up the furthest away from the hole. But they're all on the green. And the biggest reason for that is I kept to the same technique, I kept to the same tempo, and I allowed the club to do the work. So on this occasion, the worst technical shot was the best result. The other two were good, but they're all going to break 100 if I do that every time. Realize that. Don't always work on that perfect strike because, again, that's what I see a lot on the golf course. If people don't hit it perfectly, they get very frustrated. Don't get frustrated. Wait for the ball to stop. Learn from it. Can I do it better? Maybe. But is it okay? If it is, brilliant. And you'll go to that putt in a good frame of mind, and the chances are you'll probably two-putt it. Get down in, as I said, 3 from here. You're playing 12, 13 handicap. That's really good. Okay, final shot. We're going to do a 100-yard shot. So here's our final part of how to break 100 inside 100 yards. And we're looking at a shot. Let's take a reading, make sure we are around that distance. And we're bang on 99 yards. So we said we're going to look at under 100 yards. There you go. So we're going to do 99 now. We've done 50, 20, and we've done some putting. So really important that we keep this level of consistency and we also keep our level of expectation in the right place. So what's a good result from here? If you want to break 100, anywhere on that green, take it. That's a good result. Remember, if you've been working on your putting, we get it on the green, 2-putt, you're doing as good as a single figure golfer from this position. So we're getting that level of expectation in line. Even if we get this within 5, 10 yards of the green, you're doing brilliantly. So take the pressure off yourself, realize what's a good shot. So you've seen me do the 20 and the 50-yard shot, and they were quite a narrow stance, reducing the power in the shot. And I know if I can hit a pitching wedge correctly, I can get that on the green. I'm sure most of you can do that. So all I'm going to change in my technique is I want to bring the power back. What reduces the power for me is I always reduce my stance. It feels less powerful. I put a smaller swing. I'm just going to go back now to a normal stance. But I still want the mental picture when I'm striking that ball that I'm going to hit the ball and then I'm going to take the divot after. So a little bit the idea when we're in the light rough, let the club reach the bottom of the ball. What I see a lot with golfers on this shot is they get here and two things happen. They now try and take a greater lofted club, try and hit it hard, and they sort of slash at the ball. So they end up getting here, they get to it, and they're leaning back like this, trying to hit it, and we've just topped it along the ground. So we need that image. What we were doing with the 20 and the 50-yard shot We need to do that with every shot. We need to let that club reach the bottom of the ball. So my tempo isn't going to change. What's going to change is my length of swing. I'm just making the swing that little bit bigger. Okay, now we know the flag, we saw it earlier, there's loads of green to the left. So the sensible shot here, again, don't look at that flag. If I miss it slightly right, I'm missing the green. Aim a little bit more to the left of it, middle of the green. And all I'm going to do now is just lengthen my swing, keep that rhythm and tempo. Just a little bit left of the flag, that's nice. And we should end up, if we're 25, 30 feet away, we're doing fine. Now, what's important to understand, if you're okay with that and you get that rhythm, that's good. If you find yourself still wanting to try and hit it and get height, we did a shot from underneath the tree. And this is quite important to understand. This is not cheating. This is now getting your skill level. People come to me and go, how far should I hit a wedge? How far should I hit my gap wedge, my lob wedge? It doesn't matter. There's no prizes for who can hit it the furthest. The prizes go to the guys who get it in the hole for the fewest amount of shots. So if you look at this shot and think, oh, I feel a little bit out of control there hitting a wedge, take an 8-iron. Remember what we did. You can slightly reduce the swing. It can feel like you're getting that rhythm. Put it down there towards the hole. On this occasion, we've got nothing in the way, so it allows me to do it. If there was a bunker or water in the way, then maybe I would have to play the higher shot, depending what's in my way. But the great thing is if you practice both shots, you're creating more skills. And the likelihood is the more skills you got, you're going to get that score lower. You're not going to be looking at this video. You're going to be looking, how do I get to 90? How do I get to 80? That's where I want to get you. So all I'm doing now, because I'm not looking for so much power, what am I going to do? I'm going to grip a little bit down the club, like I did the 50-yard wedge. And now I'm looking to feel the shot. Nice commitment. Keep the rhythm and the tempo. Middle of the green's a good shot. I just found myself there going a little bit right. Don't want to do that. Keep it into the middle of the green. Popped it forward. Anywhere on that green. I'm very happy with that result. Let's see if we can see it appear on the green. There it is. Yep, just stayed on the left edge there. I'm probably 40 feet away. So that's a chance, probably 80% of the time, I'll probably two-putt that. So from this position, I'm averaging about just over three shots. You're going to break 100. If your game starts to do what we've shown you with these 4 different shots, this part of the game is definitely going to break 100. And that's what we're looking for. So let's look at the shots again. Putting, let's work on that speed control. Find the distance that you're happy with, that you think, well, I'm never going to miss a putt. As I said, it could be 6 inches, 9 inches, a foot. Put a club behind the hole. Just go to the putting green. Hit a few dozen balls from different distances. See if you can get the ball to arrive at the hole, end up in that position with all of those distances. That will help with your green reading. That will help with lining up correctly as you go through. So speed for me is always a good starting point. The chipping shots, the little 20-yard chip, we had it coming out of the light rough, which is a common position we might be in. And we said the ball's going to sit down, but this is a heavy old golf club. Let it reach the bottom of the ball. It will get down there. Keep the hands favouring the front of the ball so the club descends down into the shot. And we're doing that with all of these shots, 20 yards, out the trees, 50 yards, 100 yards. We're maintaining that idea. We're not changing that idea. Out of the trees, all we did, we made sure we stayed under the limbs of the tree. We did it with an 8-iron. Look at the situation you've got, work out what you can do. 50 yards, all we did, we had that narrow stance. We just increased it a little bit bigger than the 20-yard shot. We're keeping consistencies. Hit the bottom of the ball, it will jump up. And then from 100 yards, don't be that guy with the ego who thinks he can get there with a lob wedge. Okay, because my experience, and remember, I spend 80% of my time with my golfers on the golf course. That's 80% of the time that shot fails. Because the ego takes over. Look what I can do to get there. We thin it, top it, it doesn't work. Or we hit the ground way behind the ball. Find a club that will get you there. If that's a wedge, a 9-iron, a gap wedge, it doesn't matter. Don't let your ego take over because your friends are hitting less club. Be the clever golfer who gets it closer to the hole. So if that's an 8-iron, like the last shot, and we went back more to the pitching wedge from 50 yards, controlled swing, that's absolutely fine. Again, it's increasing your skill level. And that's what we're here to do. If you improve your skill level, you're going to break 100. So those 4 shots are showing you what you need to do under 100 yards, how that's going to help you to do it. Nobody has a real advantage from 100 yards with power. So this is an area, if you really work on it, you can get that probably nearer to breaking 90 or 80. But it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of practice. It's not just going to happen. But hopefully use those tips we've given you today. Go to the practice ground, go to the chipping and the putting green, and you'll start to see a little bit more consistency in these areas, which is what we're looking for. I hope you've enjoyed today's tips, going through how we're going to break 100. What we'll look at soon is we'll show you how to get you under 100, hitting off the tee, hitting those fairway woods, irons down the hole to give you a great chance to improve that score. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and share with your friends.